What's so funny? Freak!
Hey guys, I'm here with another unscripted video that I have some small talking points for, so I don't go too off track. But this will be a video reviewing the Joker that just came out today, and hopefully I'll have this recording up by today with some light editing, because otherwise I'm a moron that takes too long to make stuff. But anyway, so for those of you that don't know, Joker just came out today. It stars Joaquin Phoenix, and some other people, I can't remember their names. Directed by Todd Phillips. If you don't know that name, he directed The Hangover. That's weird. I know people saw that and was like, that's a weird combination, but hey, this is what happened. And it's produced by Martin Scorsese, if I remember right. That was the name when everyone latched onto. It was like, ooh, this might actually be good. And I really want to talk about this movie because I was so excited for this movie when the first teaser came out. When the set photos came out, I was his suit's not purple. This movie's gonna suck. But after the first teaser came out, I was on board completely. Just how it looked. It was so incredible. The first thing to remember is that going into this movie is not really a story about the Joker. It's more about the story of Arthur Fleck, who Joaquin Phoenix plays, and yeah, he does turn into the Joker. For those of you that are going in to expect a Joker movie with some light flashbacks, but most of it's going to be him being a maniac, that's not really what it is. It's a character study. It's a base by base. This happens, this happens, this happens, and it all leads up to him, Arthur Fleck, becoming the Joker. The first thing I want to say, well, before that, I have a bad habit of talking too much, and there may be some light spoilers in here. I will try to center myself around what has already been revealed in the trailers, but I will not talk about the big spoilers, like the stuff that happens mostly in the third act, end of the second act. I'll keep that aside. I will briefly mention around it, but I will not spoil it. So let's get into this. So the first thing that struck me was the cinematography. Now, obviously, watching the trailers, you could see the cinematography was insane. It started with Arthur's first therapy session. Well, not first, but you know what I'm saying. That's how the movie started. And just the way the movie's shot, there's some establishing shots. There's long drawn shots of Joaquin Phoenix just acting, and that's just what he's doing. He's acting the hell out of this. I will admit there's some shots that extend just a little too long. I feel like part of the shots could have been like, you could shorten that out. Like, especially in like the first 10 minutes, there's a shot where Arthur's laughing. This laugh it's modeled after a disorder, a neurological disorder that Joaquin Phoenix talked about in interviews. That's the center of Arthur's discomfort with himself, is that he has this neurological disorder that has him laugh whenever he's nervous. Now, that causes a lot of issues. Now, thankfully, it's not a deciding factor. It's not like, oh, I'm mild-mannered Arthur Fleck, but I laugh at inconvenient times and everyone hates me for it. Most of it is him, how he acts, how he behaves around people. It's not that he's a normal guy, but he just has this weird disorder. He's molded by this disorder. That's the centerpiece of the movie, is that Arthur is shaped by this thing that he can't control, and he's shaped by things that he assumes to be the truth, but they're not. And I'll get into that a little later. But yeah, the cinematography, a lot of it, there is some... The GIF, this has been a GIF that's been circulating, so it's not a big spoiler. There's a shot in the movie where Joaquin Phoenix just climbs into a refrigerator. Now, that's a funny GIF to see on the internet, but in the movie, it's so out of place. And especially afterwards, he gets in the fridge and then the camera moves as if someone's just holding it. And I don't understand what the what the point of it was. It comes at a point where Arthur is almost at his breaking point. So I understand it, but it's still like a moment. It's like, why? That felt like a moment where Todd Phillips should have stepped in and was like, Joaquin, that was too weird. Cut that out. But yeah, it really, and Todd Phillips has come out and said that this whole movie is kind of based around how Joaquin Phoenix acts, and you can feel it. this guy, just the way that everything shapes around this one character. This movie's a character study, so it's not necessarily plot driven, and there isn't a whole lot of connections to Batman. Now, that was the first thing that people were going to be concerned about was, oh, this is a Joker movie without Batman. There is no Batman. There is a Bruce, but there's no Batman. And, of course, Joaquin interacts with Thomas Wayne. But that's as far as it goes. There is no Batman. This is such a deep dive into the Joker's psychology, what led him to this point. And that's the funny thing, is that I will admit the first act is kind of slow. There's some spots where I feel like they could have sped up a little bit, and there's some leaps of logic. And it's definitely the moment where, like, all right, I kind of get it. When are we going to get to the Joker? Because I didn't know, and that was my one fear, is that it was going to take so long to get to the Joker. We were going to have a Spider-Man 3 Venom situation where it's like, oh, last 10 minutes. Okay, great. So going into the second, I was like, okay, I can kind of get with this Arthur Fleck situation. And near this, and I did not expect this. I kind of figured out most of what this movie was going to be, but into the second act, there's so many twists and turns that kind of play off of weird setups in the first act. Because the first act has a bunch of stuff that's like, okay, that was a weird decision. That's kind of a leap there. But then it comes back in the second act, near the end of it, and it's like, holy shit. And there's a moment where your heart just breaks. Because I was waiting for the act. I was waiting for the moments like, this guy is now the Joker. This is going to be fun. But there's, right before that, there's a huge character moment. There's a character revelation. And it's so heartbreaking. And the movie puts you on Arthur's side because the guy, he really did nothing wrong until one moment where he was brought to his end. And because of certain people that enabled him to do something, that's kind of what happens. And it's such a fascinating movie. And I was so hoping when I saw the first trailer, I was so hoping that the movie would be this. It would be this deep character dive, because I love character-driven stories. I adore them. And I was hoping it was going to be this really in-depth thing, and it was, and it went further beyond. And in that much, it's hard to describe. It's such a good movie. Now, not everything worked. Again, there's some spots where it's like, you probably could have cut that. You probably could have worked around that. A lot of the characters in the movie are very background. It's a very Joaquin Phoenix movie. Now, whether you like that or not, that's dependent on you. I liked that he was the movie. I liked that Joaquin and Arthur Fleck was the movie. Joker was the movie. It just gets to the core of what could have happened to the Joker. Now, one other thing I do want to talk about was the original score. Now, this is going to be both a positive and a negative. The score of the movie is haunting. I need to look up who did the score, but it's such a it's so good, and it's so haunting just to listen to that music and watch Joaquin Phoenix coming so close to breaking his mind. And a lot of the soundtrack, it does lead in. It's this very haunting melody that sometimes it's hopeful, sometimes it's nice, but other times it just dips back down into this gnarly portrayal of what's going on. And it's so great. The score's great. There is, however, a problem. It worked better than trailers, not so much for the movie. There are some moments where the movie inserts like 80s songs. I think Send in the Clowns comes in once at some point. I can't remember where, but there are some moments that, especially with Joker descending the staircase, there's a moment where for the first half of it, it plays this 80s song or 70s song, or maybe an original song. I don't know. Whatever it is, it did not work, because you've seen this trailer 1,000 times where he's descending the stairs to this orchestral orgy of this is the descendants into madness. And once the movie comes along, you get the first half of him going down the stairs, and you're like, that's a weird choice. I'm not sure if I would have went with that. Maybe a more haunting melody. Now, thankfully, in the other half of him descending the stairs, it does switch back to the original score. There are a couple moments peppered throughout the movie where the songs just kind of halt everything, and it's like, whoa, that's a weird choice. I don't like that so much. But yeah, that's my only complaint with the music. The original score is fantastic. I feel like I would have wanted more from that. The song insertion didn't work all the time, and in the worst case scenario, it did feel completely out of place. Joker is more about a movie about Arthur Fleck, a man who's deeply disturbed, and his descension into madness. That's really what Joker is about. Now, again, if you're going into this movie expecting blood, guts, and all that nonsense, that really doesn't happen until the third act, so you're going to have to wait a little bit of time until you get to that point. But thankfully, despite some moments in the first act where it does feel like it kind of drags on, some shots last a little too long, it sets you in to really kind of connect with Arthur Fleck, to see that his life is not in a good place, and him taking care of his mother, there's some issues with that, and that really comes to a head in the end of the second act. But Joker is such a fascinating movie that it takes this character that really doesn't have an origin, and it tries to spin it in a way that, and in trying not to spoil too much, it does kind of play off of that. It does kind of have this moment where you really don't know where Arthur came from. So yeah, the movie kind of tries to get around a lot of the mythos of Joker. It doesn't do everything quite as you would expect, but it does have this understanding of the Joker, and it adds a lot. Now, again, it does try to play into the mystery of the Joker and how people don't know who this guy is or where he came from. It does ask for some liberties in some places, but ultimately it does try to explain how this guy became Arthur Fleck and then disappeared into becoming the Joker. As so far, I might say it's my favorite film of the year. I haven't seen a lot of films this year, but I might put it above Endgame. Again, I didn't hate Endgame, but I didn't love it. I was definitely like, okay, this is a fine send-off, and that was pretty much it. But this movie is just a different level, and this might be my favorite film of the year so far. I'd have to go back and check what I've seen this year, but everything off the top of my head, I can't think of. So, as far as I'm concerned, this is my favorite film of the year, and Joaquin Phoenix actually going for an Oscar for this, I could definitely see that. I know that was a rumor, not a rumor. I know that was the immediate knee-jerk reaction when people saw the trailers. It was like, oh, Oscar nomination, obviously, Oscar nomination. And at that point, I was like, okay, slow down a little bit. I don't know how the movie's at, but I've seen the movie. I could definitely see him going for an Oscar. So yeah, if you guys are on the fence about this, you feel like you could be interested in this, but you're not completely sure, I would say go watch it. So yeah, guys, thanks for watching this clusterfuck of a video that I'm pull back behind the curtain a little bit, like the guy pulled back the curtain on that one trailer. This is my third attempt recording this, so hopefully everything sounds fine. So guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time, whenever that might be.